Welcome to sleep with myth. Close your eyes and let the world fade away. Tonight we drift beyond time, where gods dream and stories remember their light. The Whispering Path. They said the lake did not exist on any map. No caravan ever returned with its location. No traveler ever drew its shoreline. And yet every wanderer of the desert had heard the same whisper. A lake where faces are lost and memories are found. Leora walked alone through the narrowing canyon that led into the heart of the Forgotten Lands. The sun had lowered itself into a red glow, painting the cliffs with copper tones. Wind pressed gently against her shoulders, as if urging her forward, guiding her through the winding stone corridor. Her grandmother's last words echoed in her mind. When your reflection no longer feels like your own, seek the lake of lost faces. It will show you what the world has taken. Leora didn't know what that meant then, but she understood it now. She no longer recognized the girl who stared back at her in the river's surface. Her eyes had become strangers to her. Her voice felt borrowed. Her memories blurred, like ink washed by rain. Something was missing inside her. Something the world had stolen. And the lake, it was said, returned what was stolen. If one was willing to pay the price. The desert of forgotten names. As Leora reached the canyon's end, the ground opened into a vast expanse of pale white sand. It stretched endlessly, shimmering like frost beneath the dying light. But the desert was silent, too silent. There were no insects, no birds, no whisper of the wind. Only the soft rhythm of her breath. A lonely heartbeat in an empty world. Leora stepped forward. Her foot sank slightly into the white sand. It was colder than snow. A shiver ran up her spine. "These are not grains," she murmured. She knelt, took a handful of the sand, and let it drift through her fingers. Each grain was smooth, almost polished. Not sand, bone. The entire desert floor was made of ground bone. Leora rose quickly, her breath shaking. It matched the legends. A land where forgotten names were ground into dust, so no one could speak them again. She wrapped her shawl tighter across her shoulders and kept walking. Her shadow stretched long across the bone sand. The sky dimmed, and at last she saw it. The lake that had no shore. It began as a dark line upon the horizon, a mirror of shadow swallowing the last traces of sunlight. As Leora approached, the shape expanded, shimmering like a glass bowl carved into the desert itself. A circular lake, perfect in shape, perfectly still. Not a ripple moved across its surface. Leora slowed her steps. Her heart pounded. The lake reflected the sky with impossible clarity, as if the heavens themselves had been caught in its depth. But something was wrong. The reflection showed no Leora. She looked down. The lake mirrored everything around her, but not her. No shadow, no silhouette, no face. She was invisible to it. Her breath caught painfully in her throat. "So the stories were true," she whispered. "This was the lake that stole faces. The keeper appears." A soft rustle of wind curled around her legs. Then a voice drifted from behind her. "You've come far for someone who fears her reflection. Leora spun around. A figure stood at the lake's edge. Tall, slender, draped in layers of pale fabric that shimmered like moonlight. A mask covered their face, smooth, polished, featureless, just like the lake. "Who are you?" Leora asked, stepping back. The figure tilted its head. "I am the keeper of mirrors," it said. "And you, child of the wandering rivers, have stepped into the realm of reflection." Leora swallowed hard. "You know who I am?" "I know who everyone is," the keeper said. "Even those who no longer know themselves." Leora's breath trembled. "My memories have begun to fade. My reflection shows me nothing familiar." The keeper drifted closer without disturbing the sand, as though weightless. "That is why you were called," it said. "The lake remembers every face it swallows, every memory it protects." "Protects," Leora whispered. "Why would it take them from me?" The keeper raised a hand. "That is what you must discover." The lake's first trial. The keeper motioned toward the water. "Step into the lake," it said, "and it will show you what your reflection has forgotten." Leora hesitated. "Will it hurt?" "Yes." Leora closed her eyes and stepped forward. The water did not splash. It did not ripple. It simply accepted her, as though she were stepping through a doorway made of cold breath. Light burst behind her eyelids. Her vision blurred. Her bones felt weightless. And then, she was standing on the surface of the lake. Not sinking, not floating, standing. The sky above her fractured into shards of silver and gold, as though she were inside a shattered mirror. Faces rippled across the lake's surface, drifting past her feet like ghosts beneath ice. Hundreds of faces, thousands, eyes that had forgotten how to see, lips that had forgotten how to speak. Leora's heart seized. "What is this place?" she whispered. The keeper's voice echoed all around her. "This is the place where memories go to hide, where broken reflections sleep, where the truth cuts deeper than the mirror." Leora knelt slowly and touched the surface. A face beneath the water blinked. Her own, but younger, afraid, lonely. Why do I look like that?" Leora whispered. The keeper answered, "Because this is the moment your reflection broke. The moment the world took something from you." Leora's hands shook. "What did it take?" "That," the keeper said, "you must follow." The younger reflection reached up, as if trying to grasp Leora's hand, and suddenly the entire lake shattered into blinding white light. Leora fell into the depths, falling through her own forgotten past. As the lake of lost faces began to show her the life she had forgotten to remember, the fall never ended. Leora tumbled through a white emptiness that felt less like space and more like silence given shape. There was no wind, no weight, no sense of up or down. Only the echo of her own breath, folding in on itself like a wave that couldn't find a shore. Then slowly she realized she wasn't falling. She was remembering. Shapes began to form around her, blurry at first like figures seen through fog glass. A river, a house of mud brick and reed, a lantern swinging in the dusk. A child stood by the water's edge, her feet bare and muddy, the hem of her tunic stained with clay. She stared at her own reflection in the river, her eyes wide and uncertain. Leora knew, before the image sharpened, that the child was her. Not the way she remembered herself, but earlier, smaller, softer, with a fragile hope that had not yet learned to hide. The scene solidified. Leora felt ground beneath her feet again. She stood on the bank of the river, unseen, watching her younger self. "Is this a dream?" she whispered. The keeper's voice drifted past her. "Not a dream, a memory. The lake shows you what your reflection refused to hold. The first forgotten moment." The younger Leora leaned over the river, frowning at the ripples. "Why don't you stay?" the child whispered. "Why do you always break?" Her father appeared, comforting her, teaching her that identity was not in the reflection but in the heart. Leora watched, feeling the ache of a forgotten warmth. "You did not forget," the keeper murmured. "You buried it." The day the river went silent, the memory shifted. Her father was gone, the house hollow, the clay pots cracked, the world dimmed. The child Leora stared into a puddle, seeing grief reflected back, too heavy for her small heart. "I don't want this face. This is the face of someone who lost everything." And so she forced a smile, a mask. Her reflection obeyed. It erased her sorrow. "The first crack formed here," the keeper whispered, the bargain unseen. Night fell. A shadow rose from the river's surface, tall, faceless, patient. "I can take it," it said. "Your pain, your helplessness, the parts that hurt too much." "How?" the child asked. "Give me your face." And trembling, desperate, she said, "Take it." The water spiraled. The reflection split. Something deep and unseen accepted her bargain. The lake took its first offering. The return to the lake. The memory dissolved. Leora gasped, back upon the still glass of the lake of lost faces. "You made a bargain with forgetting," the keeper said. "I was a child," she whispered. "The lake deals not in knowledge," the keeper answered, "only in consent." She collapsed, surrounded by drifting reflections, versions of herself blurred by time and fear. "How many times did I lie to myself? Enough to find your way here." A mirror offered. A single reflection appeared. Her face now, cracked faintly down the center. The keeper summoned an ancient mirror. "You cannot simply take your old face back," it said. "You are both the child who broke and the woman who endured." Her reflection shifted, layered with every lost version of herself. She trembled. "If I take everything back, won't it break me?" "Yes, for a time. And if I don't?" "Then you will continue living without your whole self." She lifted the mirror. "I am tired of being half." The lake answered, "I call myself back." Faces aligned. The mirror cracked, then healed stronger. Memories returned like waves, painful but real. She knelt, breath shaking. "It hurts. You are remembering." But she felt anchored, held, whole. For the first time, her reflection looked alive. Path forward. The sky stitched itself into one seamless night. A glowing path appeared across the lake. The lake has shown you your face, the keeper said. Now it must show you the faces you took from yourself. When you refuse to see your own truth, you also stop truly seeing others. Leora stepped forward, heart new and trembling, and she followed the keeper into the deeper dream, toward the memories she had borrowed, ignored, or forgotten to honor. Leora stepped onto the faint bridge of light stretching across the lake of lost faces. The mirror she held trembled faintly in her hands, reacting to the quiet pulse of the lake below. With each step she took, the reflected sky rippled beneath her feet, fracturing into shards of memory that floated like drifting petals of silver and glass. The keeper walked ahead, silent, weightless, its featureless mask reflecting the path of light as though it were carved from the lake's own surface. "Where are we going?" Leora asked, her voice still thick from the flood of memories that had returned to her. "To the boundary between what you have lost," the keeper said, "and what you chose to ignore." Leora clutched the mirror tighter. "I thought the lake only kept my memories." "The lake keeps what is offered," the keeper replied. "You offered your reflection, but reflections do not exist alone." The path thinned as they walked. The lake grew darker, deeper, like a forgotten night. At last, they reached a place where the water rose, not upward, but inward, forming a vertical wall of glass-like liquid that shimmered with hundreds of blurred faces. Leora stepped closer, breath tight. "Who are they?" she whispered. "The ones whose faces you looked at," the keeper said softly, "but never truly saw." The wall of water stilled, and one face pushed gently forward. A girl Leora once knew in her village. The one who always sat beside her at the riverbank. The one who had tried to talk to her the day her father died. Leora had looked at her only once, and never again. "I didn't mean to forget her," Leora whispered. "You didn't forget," the keeper said. "You closed your eyes." The memory formed before her like smoke weaving into shape. Leora saw the girl again, older, tired, with grief hidden behind a forced smile. She had sat beside Leora at the well, hands trembling as she filled a jar with water. "You're quiet today," she had said. Leora had nodded, giving her practiced, empty smile. The girl had swallowed hard. "My brother is ill," she had whispered. "I don't know if he will make it." Leora in the memory had simply smiled again. Blank, calm, untouched. The mask she had learned to wear. The girl's face fell. She turned away, shoulders trembling. Back on the lake, Leora choked on the truth. "I didn't even ask what happened to him," she whispered. "I didn't see her." "No," the keeper agreed. "You could not see others because your reflection no longer showed yourself." The water shifted again, revealing another face. Her grandmother. The reflection was sharper here. Older, lined, eyes filled with worn strength. A memory unfolded. Leora's grandmother sat by the fire, sewing a torn shawl. Leora had returned from the river, her face blank, voice quiet. "You don't have to pretend," her grandmother had said softly. "I'm not pretending," the younger Leora replied. But she was. Her grandmother had watched her carefully, a deep sadness in her eyes. "You're losing something," she had whispered, "and I do not know how to give it back." Leora felt tears burn her eyes once more. And then, the water rippled again. This time, a face emerged that Leora did not recognize at all. A boy, young, frightened, with ink-stained fingers and eyes wide with unspoken fear. "Who is that?" Leora asked. The keeper stood still. "The lake does not show strangers," it said quietly. "Only the ones you chose to overlook." The memory surfaced. Leora walked through the market, carrying a basket. The boy stood near a small stall, clutching a broken reed flute. He had tried to speak to her once, his voice uncertain, shaking. "Do you know someone who can fix this?" he had asked. Leora had been in a hurry. Her practiced mask had been firmly in place. She didn't stop, didn't listen. The boy's face in the memory fell as she walked past, the flute trembling in his grasp. Back on the lake, Leora pressed her hand to her mouth. "I didn't know," she whispered. "I didn't realize." "You did not allow yourself to realize," the keeper corrected gently. "When you surrendered your true reflection, you surrendered the ability to recognize truth in others." The wall of water brightened, hundreds of faces shimmering behind its translucent surface. "All of them," Leora whispered, horrified. "All these people. I hurt them." "You did not hurt them," the keeper said, "but you failed to see them. And when you do not see others, you cannot be seen in return." Leora felt the mirror in her hands vibrate. Light leaked from its edges. "What is it doing?" she asked. "It is calling back what you lost," the keeper said. "But it cannot complete the binding unless you face the final reflection." The water stilled again. A new shape formed, a face more familiar than any other. Leora gasped. It was her own, but not the child, not the mask, not the present version. It was the face she had never allowed herself to grow into, a future self. A reflection she had locked away the day she made the bargain. A face full of unfiltered grief, unfiltered joy, unfiltered life. Pure, unhidden, whole. The reflection stared at her, eyes deep as the lake itself. "What is this version of me?" Leora whispered. "The one you refused to become," the keeper said, "because you believed pain would destroy you." The reflection extended its hand upward, as if asking to be acknowledged. Leora hesitated, then placed her hand against the lake. The surface broke, not into shards, but into ripples of warm light. The reflection's hand met hers. A pulse shot through her body. Heat, cold, memory, truth, all rushing in at once. Leora cried out as her spine arched, the mirror in her hand glowing like molten silver. Behind her, the keeper whispered, "You are ready." The lake's surface rose around Leora like a cocoon of light. Faces drifted through it. Child, girl, stranger, grandmother, boy, all merging into a single radiant silhouette. Leora felt her heart expand and break and heal all at once. Her voice came out a whisper. I see them. The light brightened. I see myself. A final ripple shuddered through the lake, and everything went silent. Leora followed the keeper along the glowing path that stretched across the lake of lost faces. Each step felt like walking upon moonlight itself, soft, silent, shimmering beneath her feet. The mirror she carried pulsed faintly in her hands, warm as a heartbeat. Ahead, the fractured silver sky began to shift. Shapes materialized beneath the lake's glassy surface. Shadows of people walking, standing, waiting. Their faces blurred like memories nearly forgotten. Leora hesitated. Who are they? She whispered. The keeper did not slow. The ones you stopped seeing, it replied. Those whose truths you avoided, whose emotions you overlooked. When you lost part of yourself, you also lost the ability to truly see others. Leora stepped to the water's edge. A face rose from the depths, soft, familiar. Mira, she breathed. She tried to be my friend. The memory unfolded across the lake. A younger Leora sat alone after her father's death. Mira approached, offering a woven bracelet, hands trembling, eyes hopeful. But the child Leora turned away, face blank, pain buried too deep to accept kindness. I didn't know, Leora whispered, her voice cracked with guilt. I didn't know she needed someone too. She did, said the keeper gently. And so did you. Another face surfaced. A boy she had traveled with years later, who shared food with her when she was hungry. She had thanked him politely, but she never asked his name. She never looked closely enough to see the loneliness hiding behind his smile. Leora put her hand to her chest. I thought I was surviving, she said quietly. I didn't know I was also disappearing. You were dimming, the keeper replied. A face without truth cannot reflect the world around it. One by one, more faces bloomed across the lake, hundreds, then thousands. People she had crossed paths with, people she barely noticed, people she might have known if she had allowed herself to see them. The lake glowed brighter with every memory, every nearly forgotten life. It's too much, Leora whispered. It feels like drowning. You asked to be whole, the keeper reminded her. Wholeness means seeing both your own pain and the pain you never saw in others. Leora trembled. Then the lake shifted. A new image rose, not from beneath the water, but above it, forming in the sky like a memory carved from starlight. Her grandmother. She sat by a fire, mending a shawl with shaking hands. Her voice was soft but firm. Leora will break if she never learns to grieve. The grandmother looked up, as though she could see Leora watching the memory unfold. Child of my heart, she whispered into the flames. When you hide from your pain, you hide from your life. Leora's breath broke into a sob. She fell to her knees, clutching the mirror as tears streamed freely. Not hidden, not swallowed, real. The keeper knelt beside her. You cannot change the moments you forgot to see, it murmured. But you can choose what you will see now. The lake reflected her falling tears, turning them into golden ripples. Leora wiped her face, not to hide the emotion, but to truly feel it. "I'm ready," she whispered. "Show me what comes next." The lake darkened. The glowing faces dissolved. A vast shadow rose from deep below, swirling like a storm waiting to break. The keeper stood tall. "The lake has one more truth," it said. "The one you fear the most." Leora tightened her grip on the mirror. "I will face it." The lake cracked like breaking glass, and something ancient began to rise from the depths. Something shaped like fear. Something the lake itself had hidden from her. The lake trembled, not with ripples or waves, but with a deep, resonant shiver that felt like breath drawn in by something ancient. Leora stood poised on the glowing path, the mirror clutched tightly in her hand. The keeper remained still beside her, its masked face turned toward the blackening water. "What is coming?" Leora whispered. The keeper did not answer, because the lake answered for it. A voice, low, distorted, echoing from everywhere and nowhere, rose from the depths. "Come back!" The water split. Darkness surged upward in a spiraling column, coiling like smoke, like night given form. Leora stepped back, breath catching in her throat. The darkness twisted and began to take shape. Arms, hands, a face she recognized instantly. Her own, but not the face she reclaimed, not the face she healed. This face was empty, emotionless, perfectly still, a mask made from the reflection she abandoned. Leora froze. "That's me," she whispered. The keeper nodded. "It is the face you gave away, the one that has lived without you, the one that believes you abandoned it." The shadow Leora opened its eyes. They were hollow, bottomless, reflecting nothing. "You left me in the dark," the shadow hissed. "You walked away and let me drown." Leora shook her head. "I was a child. I didn't understand what I was giving." Silence. The shadow's voice cracked like a breaking mirror. The lake convulsed. "You hid your pain in me," it continued. "You hid your fear in me. You hid yourself in me." Leora stepped forward, trembling. "I didn't mean to forget you." The shadow lifted its head sharply. "You lived a life I never felt," it snarled. "You laughed without me. You loved without me. You breathed without me." Leora's heart twisted painfully. "It wasn't like that. You owe me." The lake roared. The shadow lunged. Leora stumbled backward, barely raising her mirror in time. The shadow struck it, and the surface rippled like disturbed water. The keeper's voice cut through the chaos. "Remember, your reflection cannot destroy you unless you allow it." Leora steadied her breath. The shadow circled her, pacing like a predator made of moonless night. "You think you are whole now?" it whispered. "You think a single moment of courage makes up for the years you buried me?" Its rage boiled the water beneath it. "You stole my voice, my tears, my truth." Leora swallowed the rising guilt and took a step toward the shadow. "I didn't steal them," she said softly. I survived because of you. The shadow faltered. Leora went on, voice trembling. You carried the pain I couldn't bear. You protected me when I didn't know how to protect myself. The shadow's form flickered, anger warping into confusion, then back again. You left me, it whispered, smaller now. You left me alone in the dark. Leora lowered the mirror. She stepped closer. I'm here now, she said, and I won't leave again. The shadow recoiled as if struck. You're lying. I'm not. You'll forget me. No. Leora's voice strengthened. I'm done forgetting. The lake calmed just slightly. Leora bowed her head. Come with me, she whispered. You don't have to be alone anymore. The shadow trembled violently. I don't belong with you, it whispered. I am everything you never wanted to feel. I need you, Leora said. All of me needs you. The shadow's form fractured, cracks running through it like lightning trapped under the skin. The keeper stood silent, observing, waiting. Leora reached out her hand. The shadow hesitated. Then, with a sound like a sigh escaping a broken star, the shadow placed its trembling hand in hers. Darkness and light collided. The lake exploded in blinding gold. Memories, raw, painful, beautiful, rushed through Leora like a storm. Her father's laughter, her grandmother's voice, the fear she swallowed for years, the anger she never allowed herself to feel, the loneliness that became her silent companion. All of it, all at once. She staggered, but did not let go of the shadow's hand. The shadow pressed its forehead to hers. You will feel everything, it whispered. Everything you hid. I know, Leora whispered. I'm ready. The shadow dissolved into her like ink into water, darkness merging with light, fear merging with memory, the lost self merging with the living one. When the glow faded, Leora stood alone, not broken, not shattered, whole. The keeper approached, its mask reflecting the now calmed lake. It is done, it said. Leora exhaled a long, shaking breath. What happens now? The keeper turned toward the horizon, where a faint golden dawn began to bloom. Now, it said, you walk to the final shore. The lake shimmered, revealing a distant bank she had never seen before, and the path that would lead her to the final truth. Leora stepped onto the narrow path of pale light stretching across the lake. Each step sent soft ripples of silver radiating outward, though she did not sink. The keeper glided ahead of her, silent, weightless, its mask glowing faintly with the light of unseen moons. Where are we going? Leora asked, her voice still unsteady from the memories that had flooded back into her. To the faces beyond your reflection, the keeper answered without turning. To the lives you blurred when you blurred yourself. Leora swallowed hard. She wasn't sure she understood, but she followed. The path led into a widening circle of darkness, an area where the lake stopped reflecting anything. No sky, no water, no light, just a still, silent void. Leora hesitated. This place, she whispered, It feels empty. It is not empty, the keeper murmured. It is full of what you turned away from. The air shifted. A faint shimmer appeared in front of Leora. Then another, and another. Shapes emerged from the dark, each like a figure carved from dim, trembling light. Then she saw their faces. Not strangers. People she once knew. The friend she grew distant from. The neighbor she resented. The healer she never forgave for failing to save her father. Her grandmother in her final year, when Leora stopped visiting because the grief was too heavy. The boy who once tried to comfort her, whom she pushed away with silence. Faces she had forgotten, because she had forgotten herself. Leora clutched the mirror against her chest. I didn't mean to erase them, she whispered. I didn't want to. The keeper stepped beside her, voice soft as falling ash. When you turned away from your reflection, you stopped seeing the world as well. You looked at others through the mask you created. And so their faces faded. The figures watched her, not with anger, but with quiet yearning. Each face held a memory, a moment Leora had lived but refused to remember. One stepped forward, her grandmother. Her voice drifted across the darkness. Child, I tried to remind you, but you would not look at me. Your eyes were always somewhere far away. Leora's breath shook. I was scared, she whispered. I didn't want to lose anyone else. Grief does not vanish when ignored, her grandmother said gently. It only grows deeper roots. Another figure approached, the healer, the one she had blamed for her father's death. His face was tired, worn with years. You hated me, he said softly, and I understood why. But you never saw that I grieved him too. Leora bowed her head. I'm sorry, she whispered. I didn't see you at all. That is the nature of broken reflection, the keeper said. You cannot see another clearly when you refuse to see yourself. More faces stepped forward. A friend she abandoned in youth. A stranger she once hurt with careless words. A mentor she ignored after her heart hardened. A boy whose kindness she pretended not to need. They formed a circle around her, silent, patient, waiting. Leora lifted the mirror. I want to see all of you, she said. Truly see you. Not through a mask. Not through fear. Not through the empty smile I taught myself to wear. The mirror glowed. Light spilled from its surface, washing over the faces like dawn over a sleeping valley. The figures shimmered. The forgotten moments returned in fragments. Laughter shared, arguments survived, promises broken, hands held, apologies whispered, grief carried together. Leora sank to her knees. I remember you, she said, and I want to remember. The keeper's mask softened with a glow like faint moonlight. Then they are no longer lost. One by one, the faces bowed their heads, blessing her, forgiving her, releasing her. Then they dissolved into shimmering dust, drifting across the lake like pollen in a spring breeze. The path beneath her brightened. The darkness lifted. The lake calmed. Leora stood, her heart trembling but whole. The keeper approached her. You have reclaimed your face, it said. You have restored the faces of those you turned away from. What happens now? Leora asked. The keeper lifted a hand and touched the mirror gently. The surface rippled, then stilled, reflecting not just Leora, but the whole shimmering lake behind her. Now, the keeper said, you return to the world with eyes that will no longer lie to you. You will carry the truth as easily as breath. And the lake will remember you as one who walked through her own shadow and did not turn away. Leora felt a warmth spread through her chest, mild at first, then radiant, as if sunlight rose inside her. The keeper stepped back onto the mirror-still water. The lake of lost faces will sleep again, it said, until another reflection shatters. Leora held the mirror close. I won't lose myself again, she whispered. No, the keeper agreed. You will not. The lake brightened. The path of light led backward, toward the desert, toward the waking world. Leora walked it slowly, each step echoing softly. The sky above her sealed itself whole. And for the first time in many years, she knew exactly who she was, because she carried every version of herself inside her. Every sorrow, every joy, every face, whole. When Leora took her final step onto the white sand of the bone desert, the path vanished behind her. The lake was gone, but its truth remained. Thank you for listening to Sleep with Myth.